even know, bro.
No, that's just the you got to move it.
Oh, that's what it is.
That's why I wasn't sure where the you got the barn dog kiss, man.
Oh, that's the remix. I listened to the remix, baby. Yo.
Oh man. Podcast land, what it do?
Hey, what up, though?
What up, though?
Welcome back.
What episode?
Episode 5.
Time is flying.
It's flying. Oh, hey, you know what else flies?
What's that?
Airplanes. Guess what? And so we had the pilot.
We had the co-pilot.
Who drives the plane. The co-pilot.
The co-pilot.
Who sees over the guy driving the plane. We had the stewardess. Or you could call it the flight attendant.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Flight engineer.
Then we had the flight engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, you want to call this one the passenger? I have to look at my list. I'm running out of names.
The passenger, it is. Although are they called passengers? Are they still called passengers?
Flight passengers.
Flight passengers.
Flight passenger.
Nice. Not passenger.
What is that?
Whatever. Episode 5. Back at it again. We'll try to get through this without any blips or hiccups or any of all that other stuff that might have crossed the internet last time.
Ooh, that was a fun one.
It was fun. So let's get right to it. I think we've through the first few episodes, we've yet to kind of break down the skill enhancement that we do. I think one of the misconceptions is that kind of all the training is the same, right? So you can go to any trainer and they're going to give you pretty much the same training. But I think for the most part, everybody that's come in can see the difference that we provide. But there is really a difference rather than just the visual stuff that you may see on IG or Twitter or whatever the case may be. There is really a difference between what we do and what others do.
For sure.
So let's break that down. How would you describe it? If somebody came to you, I am Joseph's father.
Hello, Joseph's father.
I want to know why or what you guys do that's different than what everybody else does. How do you describe that to me?
Yeah, and we get that, we get that question a lot. Mm-hmm. The first thing, I always tell people is, hey, we're different. And we're different because not only are we using accountability tools such as a rip cone, a med ball, a tennis ball, but we're different because we are actually zoning in on 2 to 3 skills within the hour. So the kids have time, or any player has time to master what we're doing. And I tell them all the time, they might not master it in the hour. They might not get it until 50 minutes into the session when they only have 10 minutes left, because our sessions are only an hour.
Yeah.
And what I kind of break it down to is we don't do game situations. We're not going to teach a kid how to come off of a screen and roll. We're not going to teach a kid how to do a curl cut, a zipper cut, a pin screen, a down screen, whatever the case may be. Simply because that's a coach's job, right? Yeah. We are, it's okay for people to call us a coach, but I think we were talking off mic. I don't even call myself a basketball trainer. I call myself a problem solver, a basketball problem solver.
Yeah.
Whereas, players come in and we can pinpoint weaknesses and we try to solve their problem. So, hey, we get it all the time. Hey, my player's not getting low enough. Well, are you describing how they're not getting low enough to them?
Yeah.
No, you're just saying, hey, get lower, get lower, get lower. So how can we solve that problem? Mm-hmm. Hey, let's slide this cone on the ground and see how well you can stay or remain low in that duration of that time.
Yep.
But it's different because skill enhancement, you're working on the skill, the game part of the the skill part of the game, right? You're working on the characteristics, the physical traits, the athletic traits. You're working on different types of hand placement, dribble technique. We have a bunch. That's why our checklist is over 700 skills and methods, because there's so many little details that are major that we can look for that not a lot of people can see.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I don't know about you, but I always feel like there's certain details that we can see that others can't see. And I don't, it's hard to describe, because, we might be looking at it something that, with another trainer, and we see something totally different than what they see. And I think most of the time it's like as you described, they're looking at it from a game perspective, whereas we're looking at the fine details. Looking at the shoulder, looking at the hand placement, looking at the dribble placement, looking at the body position.
Right.
Like those details. If you think about it, in every movement, there's going to be something that is going to be different.
Yeah.
So
and I love that you told me this, that you told a parent. And I actually told a parent tonight, was when you're not in this industry like we are, right, where we're looking for those, we call them major details, and a lot of people might just think they're little details and they might not matter, but they add up. And I don't even like to say that they add up, because these are the little things that the kids or the players miss. That's why they can't beat their defender, like an inside step. Right, so that's my inside foot trying to cross my feet, but allowing my hips to stay facing forward. That's a huge detail that not a lot of players
100%. have.
That's why players can't beat somebody off the dribble.
Yeah,
just simply because of that, they don't have that technique.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I love that you said, and I said it to a parent tonight, was when you guys watch your kids play, or when you watch players play, you guys look for the big things.
Yeah,
so
the obvious
things, like a crossover or an underdrag or their shot going in, and then when we go to the game, we're looking at those major details that are not brought to the surface to that average eye.
Yeah,
like the inside step, watching their inside shoulder go down, looking at if they're jumping off their first step, which would be like a right foot, right hand finish. All those little things that we work on, that that we go through our checklist. That's what pops out to us, which to the average eye, they don't pop out.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're looking for, hey, I need those obvious, like, key big to make the crowd go type thing.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right.
And again, that's what our training really brings out. That's what we're different. Because one, we're patient, right, with players, because we allow them to fail. We don't want kids coming in here, or players coming in here, to work on things that they're already good at.
Yeah.
I always tell parents all the time, like, if you're bringing your player to a training session and they're only doing things that they're good at, you're basically kind of just wasting your money, and the kid's wasting their time, because they could just do that on their own. And they're not really learning anything. But here you're gonna find things that you're bad at, and that's what we preach. That's what we want.
Yeah, and I think that's where it becomes, for somebody that steps in for the first time, that's where it kind of becomes almost like so weird to see, right? Because not only the parent, but from the parent, not only the player, but from the parent perspective as well, they're kind of like, they're expecting themselves to be so good at it.
Yeah,
they're expecting themselves to succeed, and they're looking at the mistakes that they're making, and it's kind of like pulling them back in a sense of, man, like, why can't I do this?
Yeah.
This is so and it's like you can't do it yet because
you've never tried it.
It's a weakness,
yeah.
Right? That's where your weakness is. And it's important to note, like, even I, as a younger kid, was like, what do? we shy away from our weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we see a weakness or we know what we have a weakness, we just kind of, all right, I'm not going to do that because I know I can't do it.
Right. Yeah,
You
for
know?
sure. Well, and there's like when you have a weakness and you don't really know how to break it down to obtain it, right?
Yeah.
So like you don't know how to go to a different avenue that will achieve that weakness. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we do a good job of is our checklist. And I know Micah Lancaster had a video out long before, but he called it the checklist web.
Mm-hmm.
So he drew a bunch of bubbles on a whiteboard, and he said, these different bubbles represent different things, whether that's a skill, whether that's a set of footwork, whether that's an athletic trait, a body trait. So we're gonna run through all these different skills, and they're not going to be in order. We're just going to bounce around because now instead of staying on 2 to 3 things within the summer, you're working on, let's say 10 to, or let's say, I don't know, 15 to 20 things.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just staking on those 2 to 3 things and only doing those things and maybe getting 1 or 2 of them, if you go to 10 to 20, you're going to start pulling these abilities out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. And then you can always, like, let's say that I didn't achieve this bubble. All right. So 2 weeks, 2 months, maybe I'll try it again. Oh, wow. All of a sudden I got it.
Yeah.
And where did that come from? I have no idea. It's because you worked and you developed all these other skills and nuances and abilities. And now all of a sudden you got it and you're like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah.
Like I can do it now.
And I think that's like, I think that's where I won't say just other trainers, but maybe other coaches, other trainers look at us and they kind of like, they may not understand it. They may not get it right away because from their perspective, what they're used to doing is, all right, this kid doesn't know how to do a right hand layup.
Mm-hmm.
Let's master this right hand layup first.
Yeah.
And then once we do that, master that right hand layup, then we'll move on to this next part, right? Wait until they master that. And then it's like Micah described it as stairs, right? So you're kind of like waiting until you achieve or unlock this specific task that you're going after, but they don't move on until it's mastered.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that, as you described, the way that we do it allows them to kind of experience all of those other skills as well as possibly unlock something that they haven't felt or mastered previously.
Right.
Because now that skill is required in order to get it,
Yeah,
to get
for
it
sure.
done. You know?
And that's where you can kind of get it can kind of get scary is I always tell people from my personal experience, I would always go to my high school coach and, hey, high school coach, what's 2 to 3 things I can do this summer? And usually when you do that to a high school coach, they always give you that same answer of shooting, defense, and you just need to get quicker.
Yep.
Right. So I would say that's like the top 3. So when you tell a kid, that really has no guidance or no, I wouldn't say knowledge, but I would just say guidance of how to work out. So if you're just saying those broad terms, those are the only 3 things he's going to work on.
Yep.
And yeah, is he going to get better at it? For sure. But he's missing out on so many other things.
Yeah.
Lifting, getting stronger, working on your athleticism, working on different sets of footwork, getting your hips right, just being more comfortable in your own skin. And that's where it can get scary. I think that's where we do a good job, that we can bounce around. We have a checklist and we can bounce around from skills to abilities to athleticism, to ball placement. The list goes on and on. But yeah, I mean, that's to answer your question, that was a lot. And I don't say all that to the parent, but that's kind of like the meat and potatoes of it right there.
Yeah. How do you think? So we recently made a change in just kind of like our curriculum and how we were doing things. Instead of, well, I'll let you talk about the advantages and the disadvantages. Although I don't really think there's a disadvantage.
I don't. The only disadvantage is if you don't come.
So, previously, we had been kind of trying to cram as many skills as we could into each session. So, we kind of learned from that as well. After we went to the training conference, we talked about some different things, but one of the takeaways that we came away with is what benefit do we get from focusing on, one or two skills specific that we're doing throughout a week opposed to a specific session. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
One, I love whoever came up with that idea. And I think it was me. No, I'm just playing. But no, because I remember exactly, where we were, and, we both leaned in, and we were talking, like, we just, like, the light bulb clicked. It just lit on. And we were like, dude, in our group classes, why don't we just give them extra time on whatever specific skills that we're working on that week, and let them try to master it for that week. Yeah. And the beauty part is we're not doing the same workout. We're giving them maybe a different set of footwork leading up to that big key skill. Yeah. Or we're giving them a different method, which means, we might use a rip cone today. The next class we might bounce a tennis ball. The other class we might use a med ball. And then the other one, we might just let them kind of freestyle, but again, we're letting them understand that, hey, this is the certain skill or skills that you need to be able to master. Then the rest, is kind of an added bonus, and I think the advantage from when we started that, when was that, November, when we came back? Yeah. Dude, till now, I'm telling you, like, there are all the kids that take advantage of the group class and are in our semi-privates, they have turned their game around like a total 360. Like, it's insane to see, one, the skills, but ultimately the confidence in these kids is insane. Yeah. And I don't see any disadvantage, if you're not, you need to get in the semi-privates and the skill classes, but other than that, dude.
No, you're absolutely right. I definitely see the advantage. I'm so glad that we kind of shifted in that direction because, like you said, I can literally see the skills of each player, like, even just from week to week, getting better. Do you know what I mean?
And the fun part is, so, like, let's say, we just completed 3 weeks, right? And then we're at the end of the month and we have a new skill. I like to kind of, like, test to see a player where they're at. So whatever 3 skills we did the previous 3 weeks, I'll try to incorporate that into this workout just to see how well, or just give them a refresher. Yeah. And then you have to add in this last skill, which is like the main important skill this week. Yeah. But hey, I want you to kind of like jump on this and this and this. And I think the whole purpose we did that was simply because we try to tell kids all the time, like, hey, try to, go home and do this on your own. That's great to say. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you got to be honest with yourself. How many kids are actually going to go do this on their own? I even asked in my class, I had a group of, I think, like 13 or 15, and all the parents were there. And I made sure the parents were there. So I asked the kids, hey, by a raise of hands, be honest, how many of you guys go home and actually do this stuff? And I didn't even give a second to wait. I'm like, none of you. And all the parents laughed. Yeah, but it's true because they don't go home and do it. Right. And should they be more disciplined on it? For sure. But that's what we're giving them time, to work on it.
And it's I think it kind of, kudos to us for understanding, like, listen, although we'd like them to go home and work on it, the reality is that most of them just aren't, right? So if we can incorporate time into that and just build in that extra homework time that we would have wanted them to do, it's only going to be a win-win for, you might have had 1 or 2 kids that would go home and do it, but now you've got a whole class that is
Yeah.
doing a homework for
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And the best thing is, so like let's say you do it on your own, right? But you are unsure. Like we always tell them, like, hey, use your phone, take your videos, send it to us. But the best thing is, in a group class, you have yourself and you have myself to be there to help you along.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yep.
Any skill enhancement trainer out there listening to this, if you do group classes and small groups or semi-privates, whatever you guys call it, I would change it up and do that.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
It's crazy the improvements you see, and just the overall confidence. And the good part is, I have a couple kids flashing in my head right now that when they come in and they're waiting for their time, they're scheduled, they're off to the side actually doing the skills. That's like that right there. I mean, you could tell like the kids that are driven and they're doing it on their own, and they're just like they're like foaming at the mouth, getting ready. Like, I can't wait, man. What's more? Like, But that's the real enjoyment right there.
Absolutely. What?
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So, why do you think people get turned off about when they see our videos with the, like, what do you think why do you think they get turned off for watching our videos?
I mean, for the most part, I know for a fact that it's like, take for instance anything that you watch on the internet, right? So you're getting given limited time to see it, right? So let's say an hour went by and we did XYZ. Within that hour,
Dude, why do you always use those three letters?
XYZ? Who doesn't? Like, XYZ is like, it's like,
dude, the Jackson 5 said ABC. They didn't do XYZ. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, man.
Let's just say we did 4, 5, 6, like the whole hour, right? So 4, 5, 6, we chop it down to like 7 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, or whatever it is. And people don't get the whole context of what's going on, right? And that's not, I don't know. I can't really say whether it's, our fault or what, but, we want to showcase what they're doing. But just as humans, we have a tough time putting context into everything that goes on, right? So I'll give you an example. Like, I remember maybe a couple summers ago, there was a video floating around, and there was a guy on the train, and he was shaving, right? And the video, like, people were like, it was going to the internet, and people were like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy, that's so disgusting, blah, 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 blah. But come to find out, like a week later, a day or later, something like that, there was some context given to that, and the guy was homeless. And the guy was trying to prepare himself. I don't remember if he was trying to prepare himself for like an interview, or I think he was going to meet family that he hadn't seen for a long time.
Oh, wow.
So it was like he was just doing what he could to kind of just clean himself up, to be presentable.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, once you have that context, like, you kind of like, oh man, that sucks. I was judging that guy before whatever, right? And that's kind of how I feel like some people look at our videos. They kind of look at it and don't really see the context, because they think that, oh, when are they ever going to do that in a game? Like, when are they ever going to jump over a mat in the game? Because they're looking for that game specific moment,
right?
Instead of understanding maybe the body position, maybe the timing, maybe the step that they use to jump. Like, all of that goes into it, that we're kind of testing the kids or kind of preparing them for, but yet they're only looking to see how high they jumped, or, again, it goes back to what we were saying before. They're looking for the obvious things and not really understanding the details and the characteristics that go into it.
Right. And I think, that, like you said, you jumped on it, was maybe that's our fault because we're not giving enough context. Like, we'll put it in the description, but there's not a lot of people that will read the description, because their eyes go right to the video. Yeah. But I'll give you a perfect analogy. So, and we've talked about it before with our players. Think about boxers. So when they jump on a speed bag, right? So what's the whole point of a speed bag is you're trying to make your hands so quick, right? Your reaction time, but ultimately the main focus is speed up your hands.
Right.
Have you ever seen a boxing match where they're literally just popping at the face like no, right?
Yeah.
But again, there's a purpose behind it. So, but again, that's been around for so long. So everybody that sees a speed bag, they instantly can flash, okay, I understand why he's doing that. It's because he needs to speed up his hands.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to get into is that same avenue of, hey, you're seeing this player, driving down the lane with a cone in his hand, and he's sliding the cone. So in your mind, that should be, okay, he's trying to get his inside shoulder low.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the next one is, okay, let's see his dribble step timing. Is he dribbling right hand with his left foot? Is he doing any stutter dribbles? How's his inside step? All those little details that we shoot for. We want the consumer or the viewers to, hopefully let that click automatically in their head.
Yeah.
But what do you like? What else do you think gets turned off? Just piggybacking on what I just said. It's got to be the tools, right?
Yeah, I mean that plays a part of it, but I think I have yeah, I mean it definitely does the tools definitely, but I think, I mean, just to answer it, right? I've been reading a lot, and the more I read, the more I better understand like what it is that we do. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand the benefits of all that we do. Right? But to put something scientific to it, or to put something like, for the longest time I would say, listen, it works. I can't explain to you why or how, but it works.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the things that I'm paying attention to now is the visual part of it, right? Especially with the tools and things like that. So previously, if you take any kind of game enhancement, stuff like that, kids or players or parents really don't have a visual cue of understanding whether or not they're getting results from what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? So when we use these tools, I'm finding that visual provides that feeling, or actually just kind of answers the question for them. I'm getting a result. Right? Because maybe when the first time they come in, they can't slide the cone and dribble at the same time. Maybe they can't put the cone down with one hand and alternate the dribble with the other. Once they're able to do that, it becomes visually, they can see it's happening. Right? So they can see, wait a second, a week ago, I couldn't do what I'm doing, and now I can see it.
They're like looking at their hands, just like when, like one of those superheroes. Like, I just got a power. Like, what's going on?
That's exactly what it feels like. But on top of that, not only does it provide that visual that, hey, I am getting a result, which is necessary in order for us to want to continue on that route. Because let's be honest, like, without a scale, right, we would never really, it would be a while before we'd be able to see like, oh, I'm losing weight.
Yeah.
Right. So the scale itself gives us some type of, hey, whatever I'm doing, it's working. So now you add in these tools that we're using, and it's literally doing that same thing. But what other avenue or what other measurement do you have in any other training?
Right. Well, and that just leads back to what I said earlier about coming off of a screen and roll or a pick and roll. So in a game enhancement, you're just trying to look for reps. So, okay, I'm going to come off this screen and roll. I'm going to just try to stay tight to the chair or, a dummy defender. But that's where, your shoulder's really high. You are going to go into a different set of footwork. And you're kind of just like all over the place.
Yeah.
Because you're just coming off the screen. But if you do a screen and roll or pick and roll and skill enhancement, we might have you slide the cone. We might have you touch a med ball because now, you're forced to get your shoulder low and stay tight to that screen. And then we're going to give you a difference or a footwork leading up to your shot. Yeah. So that could be a speed stop, an inverted speed stop, an under drag, a skip to a jump stop, inverted skip to a jump stop. There's so many different sets of footwork that you can pull off out of that screen and roll. We might give you a heavy step before you go. The list goes on and on, but what makes it different is, we're getting your body comfortable of getting to that lower position because we're forcing you. Where game enhancement, you're just trying to get the reps. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
So, I think, players obviously need both, but I think more players need the skill enhancement side because you're not really forced to do anything game specific in training without any accountability tools.
Yeah. The other thing that I think, gets kind of misconstrued a little bit with what we're doing is we don't, let me put it this way. You'll never see us doing 1v1, 3v3, or 5v5. It's not something that we do.
Like we might with a foam roller, but again, there's a purpose behind it.
Right.
But in our training session, like the whole hour, we're not just be like, hey, roll out the balls and play.
Yeah. And that's intentional, one. But that also leads me to say that both are necessary. Right? I'll give you an example. We have a kid that is her skill level, or maybe it's a him or her. I won't give it away.
Maybe it's me.
No, her skill level is growing tremendously. Yeah. Right? In the short time that she's been in here. But she doesn't have the experience necessary to kind of test the waters with it. Right? Because anytime that she kind of, maybe plays in a game or something like that, she's going to be in a specific position and the coach is going to give her certain rules and things like that. But now if we can put her in a position where she is doing the 1v1s and the 3v3s, she's kind of getting that experience along with the skills that she already has had. Yeah. Right? So I wasn't ashamed to even recommend that to her. Like, hey, I'm not going to be able to do that for you. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to. But here's what I would like you to do, right? And I sent her somewhere else. And I that part of what we're doing, I think it's an undervalued part of what we're doing. Yeah. Because we're not short of saying, hey, I know what you need. I see what you need. I can't give it to you.
Right.
But I'm going to send you over here because I know that you'll benefit from that.
And that's the other thing, like you said, like we're not even talking to maybe another trainer or another organization or whatever. Yeah. Or another coach. We're literally just telling, hey, we're going to give you the skill enhancement. We can give you the game enhancement. We're not going to because one, it's just not fun for us. Like I don't find it fun. Me personally. Yeah. Because once you get to a point, it's not challenging anymore. And you always want to push yourself and get better and better. And game enhancement, you could stick on it for a year, you're pretty much mastered it. Because there's not a lot to it. But you also do it in your practices and in your games, and it just becomes redundant if you do it every day for 365. Yeah. But the good thing is we're actually telling the players like, hey, go to this training, without actually telling the training that they're coming, and we've actually told them. So I think like you said, that's very undervalued, and I don't think a lot of trainers.
It doesn't happen.
Nobody does it.
Nobody does that.
And no game enhancement. I don't think trainer has, hey, you need some skill enhancement where go to Hoop Lab. Yeah.
Nobody, I don't know anybody that has done it. But I wish there were more of that. I wish there was more of that honesty of, hey, I think that you would really benefit from going over there. Right. Because, that it's something that we do. It's not something that we, even brag about, like you said, but it is something that we recognize that it's necessary for the kid to grow. It's necessary for the kid to continue to develop, and that's the part that they need. So why would I hold them back from that, or why would I not point them in that direction?
Right. Well, and that goes back to a few episodes ago when we were talking about just kind of assuming if you're tall, you're going to be a center. So you're not letting that kid grow, and you're kind of like being selfish and just keeping that kid to yourself type thing. Same thing with the training. Like, you need both. So you have to tell the parent and the player, hey, listen, you need both. Because now you don't want to stunt their growth. Like, you want them to grow and experience and experiment with other different avenues, because again, we might not be able to give you the game side, so go to the game side.
Now, at the same time, don't get that twisted.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I will be, or we will be, very honest in saying that no, you don't want to go there, because here's the things that we're seeing that aren't necessarily beneficial to you, or here's what I'm seeing that isn't really, probably shouldn't be what you should be learning. So don't waste your money or don't waste your time, because here's where you're going to get your energy worth. You know what I mean? So please understand that there's a difference between us finding the benefits and sending you to the places that are going to matter. But there's also the difference of us saying, hey, no, that's probably not a good idea. And that's just us being honest. And I wish I had that when I was younger as well. And that's the other thing that I wish others would take more advantage of with us, is like, we're open books. And unlike many others, I'd rather see you get your money's worth. You know, I'd rather see you do the things that are going to be beneficial for you. Do you know what I mean? I just don't want you wasting your time or your money along this journey. I've been there. I've done it. I'd rather help you not do that. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I don't know. Like, again, just speaking off of my personal experience, I never wanted to do something. And again, like, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, but I wanted to do stuff that was hard and challenging, right? So, like, I'll give you an example. I would run on the treadmill, but I would have the TV in front of me, but I would put the subtitles on. So in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to run as fast as I can on this treadmill as I try to read every word. So in my mind, I'm like, yo, my body's moving fast. I'm thinking slow. How can that translate to the game? That's going to boost my basketball IQ, like Chris Paul. You know? Like, but like, those are like, that's crazy thinking. Like, that's insane. But like, that was a challenge to me. And again, I think the skill enhancement side, you learn so much about yourself. You get the individual time. You're not really doing a conditioning workout. That's why I think a lot of players, they stick with us, or they stick in the skill enhancement side, because they want that extra, like, ooh, I unlocked your challenge. And what's the next challenge, right? So it's like a video game. Like, hey, exactly, I just completed a level. What's the next level?
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Let me ask you, what is your experience with, what do you think about how players are handling their journey so far, in terms of, do you see them doing the right things, or are they kind of like waiting for things to come to them? Do they have a plan, or do they not have a plan? Are they following other people, or are they kind of like navigating as it fits them?
I don't see a lot of people with plans, meaning how to get more exposure from, let's say, colleges, other coaches, whatever it is. I just don't see a lot of kids with plans. And that could even be a workout plan. I know I spent time with Bryce Stanhope with Victor Oladipo in Miami, and Victor Oladipo had a every week he had a plan, right? So it was like 2 p.m. I'm gonna be skill training. After skill training, it could have been at like 4 o'clock. I have my PT, so I'm gonna go to physical therapy or whatever it was, and then at 6 o'clock I'm gonna eat dinner, and then 7 o'clock I'm gonna get a massage. Like it was crazy. Like his days were all planned out like almost every hour. But you don't have like he's an NBA player, right? So if you want to be an NBA player, you kind of have to like walk in their steps.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a place to start right there. But even just from getting noticed as a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, or even a senior, I just don't see a lot of plans in place of where I can get more attention on me, more eyes on me, more people to talk about me.
I think that's the kind of that's the biggest thing that I see as I'm watching others kind of navigate. A lot of the kids that I've seen, they have those Division I aspirations. They have those, big dreams of playing collegiate ball. Mm-hmm. But then when I look at how they're navigating the journey, it doesn't quite match up, right? So I'll give you an example.
Well, that goes back to your $20 and the $100 in the bank, bro.
I think it all definitely lines up, and I'll give you a personal experience. For me, as I was kind of taking my daughter through the journey, right? I knew she had aspirations of playing Division I basketball. But the road that was kind of laid out for her didn't fit that, right? So as it was, where we were growing up, there was barely any kids around there that played basketball, right? So I'm a big firm believer in you are what your circle is, right? So she didn't have that. She didn't have those kids around her that were kind of like gym rats or kids that were just living that type of life. So it was like, what do you think her work ethic at the time was? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that was one. I kind of had to put her in that environment, which she fell in love with. Like it was like, okay, if I'm going to the gym, guess what, Dad, I'm coming with you. I'm going to the gym too.
Yeah.
And it was all of those kids that kind of shaped or changed that next gear for her. But it took that path or changing that environment in order to do that. Right. I see a lot of kids that will stay in that environment that's not helping them for the sake of, I don't know if they feel like they don't have anything else or they feel like that's what they're supposed to do, or they're just kind of going along with everything else, right? Along those same lines, I made it intentional to kind of put the different coaches and leaders and mentors in the right place so that she could hopefully reach that dream, right? So for example, if you have Division I aspirations, you can't necessarily, and bouncing off of us for a second, you can't necessarily go to a school where, the coaches, the baseball coach, the football coach, and that, do you know what I mean? Because they just don't have the time to dedicate in helping you reach that.
Yeah, for 100%.
Right? So as a player who has those aspirations, you have to realize that. And you have to take that into consideration. Okay, is this coach or is this person doing the things necessary to prepare me for that next level?
Yeah. Or even just getting your name out there, talking about you to other coaches, reaching out.
Not even that, but we talked about how this recruiting thing is a branding, a marketing thing. And if they're silent, then how are you going to how is that helping you get your name out there,
Yeah.
right? If they're not pushing your accolades or doing things like that, maybe that's not their thing. Maybe they're not social media people,
Right.
and that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
But you have to take into account, does this fit my path?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I wish more people understood that. And sometimes there's going to be some sacrifices that as a parent you need to make, or as a player you need to make. Mm-hmm. Your friends aren't at the school where all the gym rats are, so you might have to separate from those friends that you have.
Yep.
If your dream and aspiration is to play at that next level. If it's not, then that's fine.
Right. Yeah, it's okay.
But you have to understand that. That's one part of it. But all of those other pieces have to line up, right? What does your trainer know about recruiting? Do you have somebody that's going to push you mentally, push you physically? Do you have somebody that can kind of you can lean on and guide you in the right direction when you're not just all the way prepared, right?
Yeah.
When you're just kind of, when those days that you're just like, I don't feel like doing anything. Is there somebody in your corner or in your circle that's going to kind of remind you,
Yeah.
hey,
yo, let's go get some shots up. Let's go work out. Yeah.
All of those pieces, it's not just one person, and it definitely can't just be you. You've got to put those pieces together so that your team of people can help you reach your dreams.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times today, so many parents and even players are kind of just sitting back waiting for things to come.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big understanding that as parents we have to understand, and as players we have to understand too.
Yeah.
Hey, what is your aspiration? And does your situation as it stands meet your aspirations?
Right. Well, and nowadays, right, so everything's on social media. So like even, back then when we were playing, we had to try to come up with like a mixtape and like almost mail it to coaches. Email, like I was in the email sending video stage. And, that's how you kind of had to reach out. You had your coach who kind of had connections, but not really. He said he did, but not really. But now that's why I kind of I love and hate social media for, different reasons. But the one thing that I do love about social media is the really good athletes at a young level. They might be to themselves and quiet, but social media really brings out their personality. And you see them literally almost every day when you open your phone or open IG or Twitter or whatever the case is, and you can kind of see them joking, laughing. Like, it's not, I don't know anything about this kid, but all I see is highlights, so he must be really, really serious and might not have a life. No, you're actually like, he does joke around, he does have friends, like, but that is almost like a reward. Or how did Charles Barkley say it last night? Award.
No, it was just Ward.
It was Ward. So like,
they don't have no Ward for that.
So like how you can like mentally prepare for that is like put in, like, and it goes back to the plan, right? So working out, like you when you work out, you get a reward of hanging out with your friends.
Yeah.
You have to work out first in order to hang out. You have to, get 1,000 shots in, 1,000 shots made, good makes, before I can play this video game. Yeah. Right. So that's a plan. I have to go run a mile. And I try to tell people all the time, a mile is not that long. Dude, you can run, you can take, okay, if you were trying to run your slowest, it would probably be 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Just take 10 minutes to run a mile.
Yeah.
But then you can get rewarded with, all the fun stuff.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm reading this. Well, I just finished reading this book, And that's kind of what they hinted at. Like a lot of people will not, or they'll shy away from something because they haven't added that reward in. Right? So for one, and this is a good tip for anybody that's looking to get into anything, don't look at the result of what you're trying to get. Think about the little pieces within that would help you get to your result. Yeah. Like, for example, you can't just say, I want to lose the 15 pounds. What goes into losing the 15 pounds? Obviously, there's gym time. You can't just go in and say, I'm going to do an hour at the gym. You kind of have to build that habit up.
Yeah.
So you may start by just putting on your gym clothes. And that's a stage. That's a stage for you.
Yeah.
You know, that's the stage. Then maybe the next day you move into
tying your shoes. No,
maybe you just go into, listen, I'm going to go into the gym. I'm only going to spend 5 minutes in the gym. Mm-hmm. You go in there 5 minutes and then you're out.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to like jump in full on, you just kind of build yourself into it. And that goes the same thing with the mile. Instead of trying to do the mile, just step outside. Mm-hmm. Right? Say I'm going to run for a minute, and then let that be it.
Yep.
Then make it 2. Then make it 3.
Right.
And then just keep building on that habit. And then all of a sudden it becomes, well, I already started, so I might as well just keep going.
For sure.
And that's kind of how those habits build. But
you know what's crazy? So I think everybody listening, and probably if you don't, I'm gonna be mad at you. But I think we all follow Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on Instagram.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think everybody does, because that dude's got like a crazy amount of followers. But you know what's crazy is it just kind of like popped in my head when you were saying that. Every Sunday, what does he post? Do you know what he posts?
Why are you gonna ask me about your spot?
No, but it's crazy though. He always posts.
I haven't been on Instagram in like 5 weeks.
We gotta get you an Instagram guy.
Oh man! Anybody looking to handle my Instagram, please let me know, because
he needs help. He needs help. No, but he always posts his cheat meal.
Yeah.
Right. So you always see and his cheat meals are crazy. From his, I don't even know if they're pancakes or French toast, but he's got like a whole gallon of peanut butter on it with syrup, and then he's got sushi and cookies, and it's like this crazy pizza or whatever the case is, but it's always on a specific day. Mm-hmm. So that might be his reward. So I'm gonna not kill myself for a week, but I'm gonna like literally be disciplined enough of eating healthy, working out for a week, and then I'm gonna reward myself on Sunday night where I can just unleash and pig out. And maybe that's his rest day too, probably. I'm gonna assume it's his rest day. But those are, and again, he didn't just woke up one day and was like, hey, I'm gonna do this. Like you said, he probably built it into a plan. And then it started becoming a habit, and now it's just a part of his everyday routine. I know for me, for my personal experience, was COVID, right? So all the gyms were closed. You know, like, oh man, like the first time, you know, we got shut down, the whole world got shut down, was like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, I can work out at home, I can stay at home. So you're doing it for a week, and then 2 weeks, you're like, I'm gonna get to it, I swear. And then 3 weeks, I'm a little tired. But like, you know, and then when the gym's starting to open up, you can't, like, even just for me, like I went, tried it. I'm like, oh man, wow, that hurt, you know. But you got to keep going. You know, you can't just expect to be, you know, on the leaderboard number 1 that first day. You just build your way up to it.
You got to build it. You got to build it.
The same thing goes with our skill enhancement training, right?
Yeah, and that's the other part of it is like, in this book they talk about getting 1% better each day.
Yeah.
Right. So there's 2 ways to look at it. You can get 1% better each day instead of trying to reach the complete goal. By virtue of getting 1% better, you're going to reach your goal, right? Ultimately.
And there's not a date.
There's no date.
Right?
There's no date.
Yeah,
it's just
like
1% better. And I think they said, like, if you were to get 1% better, like if you were to do something every day with the goal of getting 1% better than you were yesterday, you would be 37 times better than you were when you started for a whole year. So, but it works both ways. So like, and I think this goes into like how parents look at in season, right? So they'll come in and they'll get 1% better each day for a month, 2 months, and then when the season starts, guess what? They're not getting 1% better anymore. They may be even getting 1% worse.
Yeah, because the training stops.
Yeah. So now, once they come back, now it's like starting all over again.
I hit reset mode.
Yeah, yeah. But if you look at the kids that have kind of, stayed in the gym in season, and they've continued to get 1% better each day. And that doesn't mean just like whatever your goal is. Maybe that's just getting stronger for that day. Maybe it's just getting quicker for that day. And then maybe it is actually developing some basketball skills. So every day there's just little pieces that you're trying to get 1% better.
Yeah.
And that whole thing is going to build into a better player at the end.
Yeah, we have a great story about that. We have a player here, and when everybody starts their season, I kind of look at it as like everyone's at 100% battery.
Yeah.
Right. So the ones that stop training, they're going to start to lose battery throughout the year.
Yeah.
So by the end of the season, when playoffs and championships, let's say you're in high school or whatever the case may be, when these games actually start to matter, and you have low battery and you got, everything's not going how it did in the start.
Yep.
Well, why is that? Because just like you said, you stopped the training, you stopped your routine.
Yeah.
But we have a player in here who started, I would say 100% battery with the team, but she's at the end of her season and she's still at 100%.
Yeah.
And why is that? It is because she stayed with the routine. She stayed with the training. Now, all the people that are at the 1%, they're like, I don't understand. Like, why are you still at 100%?
Yeah.
And they communicated. they wrote up a plan. They texted about it, and voila, they started training.
Where are they at?
They're at Hoop Lab. Follow us on Instagram at hooplab_, Facebook. No, but I mean that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Because once you get into a routine, and whatever it is, working out, reading, whatever it is, and you stop, you're just like,
yeah.
I'll pick it up next month, but you lose what you gain.
And you know what? In the book that I'm reading, by the way, it's Atomic Habits, and they kind of described it as like compound interest. Like, so if you were to invest money every day, that money that you earns money, right? And it's just a chain that continues. The same thing goes for skill enhancement, right? So as you're putting on this skill or you're adding 1%, it's just compounding over time. So now ultimately you're going to be one hell of a player by the end of it, right?
Yeah.
And that may be by the end of 6 years, 7 years,
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
If you think about it, if you're starting in 4th grade, by 12th grade, all that compound interest is going to,
man, what?
woo! You know what I mean? So I think that's a good way to look at it. At the end of the day, it's not a specific result that we're trying to get to. It's just building and building and building and letting those skills compound until you're just one hell of a player at the end of the day.
And again, there's days that you're just gonna wake up and everything's just gonna click.
Yep.
Right. And that's the crazy part, because I've seen it happen so many times.
There's a science behind that too, but I will get into it.
Yo, where's Bill Nye at? Gary Nye, the science guy.
Yeah.
But that's the crazy part, man. I love it. I love when you can actually sit down and you can break it down, because basketball, they just think it's hey, you got to get good. You better be an all-star in this training session.
Yeah.
In this 1 hour.
Yeah. Calipari better call you in third grade.
But that's like, it just doesn't happen like that. I feel like basketball is the only sport, the only thing that people say like, hey, you have a week, man. You better be LeBron in a week.
Yep.
But then you look at the reality of, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to lose the 15 pounds. It's not going to happen in a week.
No.
But everybody understands that, but they don't understand the basketball side of it. So there's a misconception there. There's something missing there.
Yeah. Well, truthfully, they may not even understand that. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of times you go to the gym for 3 days and you're like, yo, bro, what?
What's that meme of like, yo, I did abs for 45 minutes and that guy's in the mirror looking at he's like, where's my abs at?
Yeah, I mean it takes time and you just got to be able to be patient. But
yeah, I think your plane has landed. It's time for the passenger to go home.
Oh man,
that was a great talk, man. I love that.
Good talk. I really would. I'd be interested to hear. We do get the feedback and stuff like that, but I'd be interested just to see or hear the stories. Hear more of the stories, like of, man, when you said that, it just clicked. I know. For me. You know what's funny? There was a parent in here the other day, and they were on their way out, and we were joking around, and I said something along the lines of maybe putting pressure on them or something like that, and he kind of said, "No, I don't do that anymore." I listen after I listened to that. I don't do it.
Yeah.
I just kind of let it come.
Wait, did we have that last night?
Yeah.
Dude, I remember it. Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, no, that was cool.
Yeah, I was like,
dude, I'm actually getting the chills right now.
I love it. Wow. I love it because that's why we do it. But
yeah. Yeah, no, send us it.
Yes.
Let us know.
Yes. Drop a comment, subscribe,
a follow, a like,
whatever. Don't be afraid to ask us anything or anything like that. That's what we're here for. We're hoping we're teaching something and giving you some guidance, and we just want to do more of that. So
yeah, and someone send me a list of all of the titles on the airplane because I'm running out and we got a lot of episodes to go.
And if you work for an airline or something like that, we
give us a Hoop Lab jet or something.
Yeah, or even a
couple plane tickets to Bermuda,
standby, even I don't know, something. Hook us up. All right, guys, listen, it's been real. It's been fun. Can't wait to do it again next week.
Yeah, thank you for listening. Zach Leach, follow me Instagram at Zach Leach @ Zach Leach. We got our at hooplab _ on Instagram.
Yep.
Facebook.
Yep. Instagram TakeFlight Coach. Twitter who is TakeFlight.
You are TakeFlight.
That's me. TikTok.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, TakeFlight Coach.
Zach Leach.
Yeah. Just follow us, reach out to us, and see where we can help. Or, better yet, just come on into the lab.
Come on in.
Let's get to work.
Let's get it. All
right, guys. We will catch you next week.
Woo. Yo, you didn't start with that laugh. Yo, love it.
Oh,
love it.
Wait, what happened to peace?
Yo, what happened to peace? Peace. We're gonna start that. Yes.